What's happening, guys? Welcome into another boxing breakdown and prediction show for this weekend's Showtime main event card between Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano, and what should be an absolutely electric fight down at 154 for all the marbles. So let's get into it now. In case you're wondering why I'm wearing sunglasses for this particular episode, it's not because I've suddenly become fashion conscious. I picked up an eye infection early in the week and looking to shake it off, so hopefully be all cleared up by next week. Now, I'll quickly just mention as well that while this is an undisputed clash, for all the belts, I'm personally, taking a bit of a stance here. I'm not going to be talking about the bauble titles on here anymore for these shows. Boxing News, which is the oldest, I believe it was founded in 1909, and obviously one of the most respected boxing publications in the world, has launched its own campaign to try and simplify the sport. One division, one champion, by trying to remove, these unnecessary and kind of largely nonsense titles that the WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, IPO, and whoever else have listed. And, that starts by simply not giving these alphabet soup sanctioning bodies any more legitimacy. And I'm fully on board with that. One champion, one division, that's what we want in boxing. We simply need to get back to that. The WBA alone have 4 different versions of the heavyweight title, with 6 different men all claiming a slice of the heavyweight strap. And, if that wasn't farcical enough, these sanctioning bodies, basically only put you in the rankings if you pay their exorbitant fees, thereby removing all impartiality. Anthony Joshua isn't listed as a top 15 heavyweight by the WBC. Tyson Fury isn't listed as a top 15 heavyweight by the WBO, WBA and IBF, which, as we all know, is just laughable. Those are the 2 biggest heavyweights on the planet. And worse than that, it almost cheapens the sport as a whole in terms of legacy. Some people suggesting that what Gervonta Davis did last weekend, winning his 3rd world title in a 3rd different weight division, was somehow equivalent to what the great Henry Armstrong managed to accomplish back in the 1940s. So, just personally on this show, I won't be giving the sanctioning bodies any more kind of legitimacy, as I said, by talking about them. I'll be using the transnational Ring magazine ratings from now on, and hopefully by doing that, we as fans can finally get back to one division, one champion in the near future, and kind of force the best fights in the sport as a result. Now, if you want to find out more about that, check out the Boxing News website. Now, in terms of this fight, this is an absolute sleeper hit and really does pit the best versus the best in this division. I'm really looking forward to this one on Saturday night between Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano down in San Antonio. No transnational has these 2 guys rated as 1 and 2 in the division respectively. While the Ring magazine is Charlo number 1 and Castano number 4, with Jarrett Hurd and Erislandy Lara positioned in between. Now, with both of those guys recently campaigning at 160, I'm firmly in agreement with Transnational on this. This is 1 versus 2 for me in the division, the 2 best fighters here, and it should be an absolute barn burner on Saturday night. Now, Charlo comes into this one as the minus 250 favourite, with Castano coming back at a plus 200, and both men have been on fairly impressive runs of late. Charlo had that close decision loss to Tony Harrison 3 years ago, the only blemish on his record, and a defeat he quickly avenged as well the following year via an 11th round KO. Castano was undefeated, the only non-win being a draw on his record against Erislandy Lara back in 2019 in a fight. I thought he deserved to get the nod in overall. I personally expect this fight, kind of to be a fight of 2 halves almost. I think Charlo's overall athleticism and explosive power will cause problems for the smaller Castano early in this fight, at least before the technician in Castano has time to fully adjust. But, if the Argentinian can weather that early storm, it should be a really interesting fight down the stretches. At least on a technical basis, I have Castano rated as the better fighter here, especially on the inside, and I fully expect him to bank a ton of rounds in the middle in this one, as he looks to find his groove during the mid portion of the fight. I think Castano's probably astute enough not to go into this fight too reckless, not make the mistake of repeating Erickson Lubin's 1st round KO against Charlo a few years ago, as he does have phenomenal punching power, Charlo, no question about it, not just in terms of blunt force, but the speed and kind of velocity in which those punches are delivered, from varying angles as well. If Castano is cautious, that likely means he'll drop the opening portion of the fight. He might need to dig himself out of an early points hole as a result, something he's more than capable of doing as he looks to bank those mid to late rounds. Now, the one thing Charlo does have, though, in this one in terms of a points decision, he has that kind of clutch quality. He can pull out a big performance on demand, and, while he may well give away those mid to late rounds to Castano's overall better work rate and precision, once we hit those championship rounds, and it's go time. I think Charlo has that next level to go to in terms of overall performance, and I do expect him to find a way to pull this fight out and get the decision win in his home state of Texas. I don't see Charlo getting the stoppage here. While of course, look, it's always possible with a guy who hits as hard as Charlo does to get that stoppage. I think Castano is too savvy here, to kind of get hit flush and stop. But if it does come, it likely comes early, as Charlo's speed and aggression might well end up surprising Castano here before he has time to fully adjust. Charlo is the money man in this division. He's the money man definitely in this fight. It's in his home state of Texas, as we said. And I think even though it'll be an extremely close fight, might even be controversial, I think Charlo nevertheless has enough to pull out those extra few gears in the championship rounds to earn a decision here and become the man at 154 on Saturday night. So take Jermell Charlo by decision on Saturday night, plus 125 as your boxing play for this weekend. Look, that'll wrap things up for this week. Leave us your thoughts. You can also catch me over on Twitter at the SportsWolf83 and at my handicapper page, Kevin Dolan, over at WagerTalk. As always, thanks for listening. Till next time, Slán